Hello everyone who is watching our YouTube live stream or the recording of this week's growth call. I'm Christoph Arteneder and I'm your host today. As always, I already posted the Google Hangout invitation link in the chat on the left, so you can join us here in the Hangout, or you can just watch the live stream and post your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll try to answer them here live. So our growth calls are about everything that helps to grow the Bisq network. If you don't know it by now, Bisq is the only true decentralized exchange to exchange fiat with cryptocurrencies or crypto with other cryptocurrencies. If you're interested in more details, please have a look at the introductional video on Bisq, which I'll link as always in the description below after the call. So today's call will be a compact one, a short one, as so much is happening around the Bisq network, so we have to use all our spare time to work on different stuff. But there are two things I want to talk about today. So the one is last month, as we skipped last week's growth call, and also I want to talk quickly about our new release. So if you haven't seen, or if you have seen our last monthly report about October, you know it already. You know the good news already. We surpassed $7 million US in trading volume, and we had and more than, I think it was 1,100 Bitcoin were traded in total. So that was an all-time high. I think on US dollar volume, it was last December, we had 3.4 million, but regarding Bitcoin volume, yeah, it was exceptional. Although this was mainly because of Monero, which brought most of the volume, it shows clearly that Bisq's values and no compromise on decentralization efforts resonates well in this community, and so we get lots of attention. Manfred spoke on the Monero coffee talk, I think, and we had 2 weeks ago community members from the Monero community with us. So it was it's a big overlap on values there. But let me see. This month we're again more in the 2, maybe 3 million region if the trading continues as it is right now. What is different compared to last month is that also other altcoins are picking up in trading volume, and yeah, let's see how we will end this month regarding volume. And hi Peter for joining us here in the call. Regarding the release of 0.90, so last week I was talking about that we want to start the release testing this week, but it looks more that we have to move it to next week. We are quite far already, but the redesign touched nearly every single, it touched every single page, and the process to, on one hand side, to adapt all the screens and also to developer test them before we do the release testing was and is quite an effort. So stay tuned. The app is looking better every day, and if you're interested in helping us to run the release tests, which will take place starting next week, please contact us in the dev channel on Slack, and we'll guide you from there. I'm not sure, Manfred, do you want to talk about the new contributors that might start in the Bisq network? So there was lots of activity over the last couple of weeks, not only in Slack, but also on the developer side, I think.
Yeah, luckily we are growing very fast now on the development side. There and person who has already worked a lot on the DAO. He helped a lot in the development of the DAO, and they will work on the new trade protocol. As we are planning to implement a new trade protocol, which will not have an arbitration system anymore, and instead it there is a proposal written down. I don't want to get into details of this, but it's very exciting and development and much better. And also they have already started to work on this, and hopefully more or less with the same time when we launch the DAO, we can launch in the new trade protocol. And then there is another developer who is still a little bit in the orientation phase where he wants to work on, maybe on the API side, maybe on other sides. There are many areas where he's interested, and he seems to be very motivated and very active already. Then another developer who is focused on the will come with more improvements on that area. And a few others which are in the pipeline where I'm a little bit in contact and figure out where they want to work on. A few smaller contributions on new payment methods or other issues which we have open on GitHub. Yeah, so we are growing very fast and healthy there. So that's quite exciting and positive, and looking forward that we keep this.
Yeah, it's important that we speed up.
I think you're muted, Christoph.
Can you hear me, Manfred?
I don't hear you.
I'm not sure. Can
now
Peter?
You're back, but
okay, Peter can hear me. Okay.
Connection is very broken on my side, at least.
Okay. What I wanted to say. Yeah, just wanted to say that it's great to have this many developers joining Bisq, as we do need the resources to push our DAO efforts. As Kestutis is just posting it in the chat. The regulators are getting closer. So every exchange that is not fully decentralized and has an attack vector. Okay, SQ can hear us all. Maybe Manfred, your connection is a little bit shaky today. So yeah, we have to get the Bisq DAO out as soon as possible, but of course it should be super tested, and yeah, so it's a compromise. We want to move as quickly as possible, but we don't want to release anything in the end which breaks, and we need hard forks, and we introduce serious bug fixes, bugs, and need bug fixes for the client itself. As Peter, we have a guest here in the chat. Maybe do you want to introduce yourself, your interest in Bisq, and maybe you have a question to ask?
Yeah, hi. So I'm a Hungarian crypto enthusiast. I'm also working in some crypto project, but first and foremost, I'm a crypto investor. And I also would like to see the change of guard. So the fiat system hopefully will transition, or at least will be somewhat challenged by decentralized cryptocurrencies, or cryptocurrency in singular. So this is my belief. This is what motivates me to stay here. And the question. So today, the news of the day is that some so-called decentralized exchanges were called to account. So the financial authorities in the US contacted them, and I think it should have cease and desist because they traded securities. Did you get any letter or any contact from the US authorities, or were you just immune to all these requests because you are truly decentralized?
Manfred, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, luckily we didn't get any letters so far. So when I'm suddenly disappearing and not answering anything, then probably that happened. And then probably I cannot talk about this anymore. But so far, luckily, we are not under pressure so far. And a main reason is probably because our trade volume is super low. I mean, these exchanges which got under pressure now, they had trade volumes of a few hundred millions per month. And yeah, we have now, with our record, we've got 7 million. Usually we have around 2 or 3 million. So we are super tiny compared to them. On the other side, yeah, they are companies. They are based in the US. I mean, we are first not the company. Most of the people are distributed in European or other countries. So basically, it will be harder for them that they apply their their laws on other jurisdictions. I mean, yeah, The SEC has basically only power in the US, or it should be like this. Of course, reality is a little bit different. And yeah, the whole concept of Bisq is that we are building it in a way that first, I mean, many of these regulatory laws make sense because for the centralized companies, there is a lot of risk and a lot of trust and a lot of scam. I mean, most of these exchanges are doing a lot of scammy stuff like trading against their own users with front running and yeah, all kind of tricks. They are, when they, especially those who are not taking any fee, yeah, when they allow trading with zero fee, how they make the money. Of course, they are doing other tricks by manipulating the price and tons of stuff. So that there is and people don't want, most people are not aware of this, and you're trusting an exchange that they are behaving fair, that they are doing their order matching correctly and not manipulating it, and they have the power to do it. And we see in the cryptocurrency space where everything is Wild West that 90% of these exchanges are corrupt. Probably. I mean, of course, I cannot say it clearly, but they have the chance to make a lot of money on the, which is not correct, in manners which are not correct. And the regulation is the way how to deal with this. Centralized companies get regulated. That's just, I mean, they are basically like banks. When a bank has zero regulation, at a certain point, they will run away with your money and nobody would use the banks. So it's a natural development that with this high risk and high trusted entities, there was developed regulation because they didn't find better solutions. Now we have better solutions with decentralized systems like Bitcoin itself. And Bisq is built with this spirit in mind. So we are not holding money, we are not holding user data, so we cannot run away with their funds from the users because we don't have it. And we cannot abuse and sell users' data because we don't have it. So there are many, many areas where the regulators are, the reason why the regulators are put in place are just not applying to us. So I'm not too scared. In the opposite, I think we are basically the positive examples. The regulators should say, hey, look, that's an example how exchanges should work. It's really, I mean, and basically we don't need a regulation because we have built it in a system where you cannot do harm. People don't need to trust us that we don't do harm. We cannot do it. And that's the only way how you can build systems which can scale, because of course people can trust us that we don't do harm because we are small and we are honest people. But in 5 or 10 years, when there are new stakeholders and like in a company, they get sold to another company, and then maybe first they say, yeah, we never do any business with your data, and then they get bought by Facebook, and yeah, and then this promise has zero value. So we want to build a system where the users don't need to have the trust that we are not selling the data to Facebook in 10 years. We cannot do it. And then you don't need to trust us, and then we don't need a regulator who enforces that we cannot do it because, yeah, there's no reason for this. So I'm at the end not too worried. Of course, there's the other side, that many of the regulation and law enforcement is partially more interested in financial surveillance, that they get a lot of information and way too much and cause a lot of problems with this. And of course, with Bisq, they will not like this so much, that they don't get too easy the information and or don't get the information from us, at least. I mean, of course, they can analyze the blockchain and can try other ways to collect something, but at least it's much harder, like with a normal exchange. But basically, I mean, it's not it shouldn't be the goal of a government to do surveillance of normal people when they are not suspect to be criminals. So the governments are basically breaking the basic human rights a lot in that area. And yeah, that might be an area where we get in conflict at some point. But as said, fully decentralization is the only tool which helps. And that this DEX, especially in the Ethereum space, get now under pressure is not a big surprise. I mean, they are not DEX, they are not decentralized at all. They're a company, they're just using decentralized as a buzzword for marketing and not more. And I don't have much, I don't care actually about those. It's a pity that they get such a big market and they abuse the term decentralized because they're not decentralized at all. They're just, doing some business, and it's no surprise that they get under pressure of regulators.
Thank you, Manfred.
Yeah, totally agree what you said, Manfred. Is there any question from you watching us live? We'll give it a couple of minutes because we want to, as I said in the beginning, we want to keep it short. We are working on the reason. Maybe to give you just a couple of minutes to think about any questions, I could share the current state of the redesign. Manfred, do you think it makes sense?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, just a peek preview.
Just a super peek preview. Let me see if that. Wait a sec. I have to start. So let me see if that works. So, can you see my screen, Manfred?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Yeah. So the new design is a little bit. It's fresher. It's completely different than it was before. It's still in work in progress, but it should give you an idea what to expect. So in general, the menu items are the same. It's just different, a little bit more compact. Let's go to the buy screen. Yes, it's from the styling here, it's more like the material design brought up by Google. We have slight animations in there to indicate, for example, focus. We also made some stuff a little bit bigger to read. Let me go back. Yeah, I'm just thinking what I can show you. I don't want to show too much stuff, so there's a little bit excitement still left. So expect, if you're interested to test the client, I will create a new release build tomorrow, and we'll post it on the design Slack channel, so you can install it. I only do a Mac release because of the amount of effort of the release. But of course, yeah, you can just build from source the release branch. It's always up to date, and try it on yourself. So if you want to support us in testing efforts, it's contact us on the dev channel on Slack, and we'll guide you from there. Probably sometime next week we'll start with the structured release testing. And of course, it would be great to have different operating systems in place. So most of us developers are using either Linux or Mac. So it would be great to have guys running Windows, or maybe also special Linux distributions. So we have an as broad testing setup as possible. So not one little glitch goes through. What also will be, which is not shown yet in this version, but will be in the release, there will be a DAO section, and yeah, that's something that we'll save for later. So let's stop the screen sharing again. Yeah. So if there are not any more questions from you guys watching us live, I just want to say thank you for joining and watching us today. Thanks, Manfred and Peter, for joining us here in the Google Hangout. And I'm really looking forward to next week when we start with testing efforts. And yeah, fingers crossed that soon we'll have the Bisq DAO on testnet for testing.
Yes, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.